Let's recap The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3, Episode 10. Welcome back to my recap series where every week that The Summer I Turned Pretty airs, I will be going over the episode with you guys and analyzing it, and we have discussions in the comments. If you are seeing my face for the first time, hi, my name is Stella, and I make videos about all things media, that being books, TV shows, movies, and I also post the occasional lifestyle, beauty content, product reviews, things of that sort. If that is your jam, it would mean the absolute world to me if you followed me and joined my community, which is ever growing, and I am so happy to have you all here. But today's episode that we are going over is the second to last episode of The Summer I Turned Pretty ever. As you can tell, I am extremely emo about this. Like, this show just means so much to me. The amount of watch time for this show that I have is crazy. The amount of rewatching I've done is nuts. But this episode garnered a lot of buzz because people were also saying that it was filler again, which I completely disagree. I actually think it sets everything up great, and we saw so many things that I think needed to happen before we dive into the finale. And you'll see why I feel this way as we dive in just a second here. So without further ado, let's just get into the episode. For my more recent recap videos, I've been doing it this way where I go over chunks of scenes at a time, and then we really hyper focus on the couple of things that I think are really important. So that's what we're going to do for this one. So the episode is called Last Year. So we're at this point like going to span over this entire episode. It's going to be over the course of a year, basically. So Belly is not coming home for Thanksgiving, and she's in fact trying to make her roommates stuffing. Her roommates are a little crazy, and it's like a very small apartment. She shares it with a couple of people, and she's kind of still adjusting. Thank God she has some amazing friends, and she just is saying that she's homesick, but she doesn't want to go home. Then at the bottom row here, which we have, is her FaceTiming Taylor. And what we find out from this conversation is that Taylor and Steven are officially in their relationship. They have been able to do it. From what we saw the last episode, they had that discussion about, let's try this. And they're trying, and they're so cute. I love them together. And yeah, they're FaceTiming, and then Belly invites Taylor to come to Paris because for New Year's Eve, all her roommates will be out and they can have a little party. Then back in the US, Steven is hosting a Friendsgiving at his apartment, and we see that Jeremiah has already been rebounding with someone else, and that causes problems in the friend group. But we also see that he's cooking, which is really interesting, and it seems like he loves cooking and is great at it. Which is very different than the book. Conrad was the one who actually was a good cook. Not that he's not in the show, but obviously Jeremiah is like a really good chef, it seems. Future career choice for him. I'm loving that if that's true. And then we see that Conrad has been trying to text him or just like extending his hand, reaching out, letting him know he's there for him, and he wished him a happy Thanksgiving. Adam ends up showing up to Thanksgiving, okay, Friendsgiving, and him and Jeremiah get in a fight because Adam finds out that Jeremiah did not go back to school. He's not been taking online courses, and Adam ends up cutting him off, which honestly, I feel like he needed that. Even though in some ways I do feel for Jeremiah here, which is shocking because I do not like Jeremiah that much. I felt bad for him here, but I think this was a necessary thing for Adam to do as a parent, but also like it's good for Jeremiah because I think it's going to force him to grow. And then he asks Denise if he can crash on her couch for a while. Now we're flash forwarding to Christmas time, and Conrad finds out that Laurel did not ask Jeremiah yet about coming to Christmas, and we have no idea if like he's going to show up if he's there, right? He also finds out that Belly will not be attending Christmas most likely, and but we know she doesn't. And Conrad is kind of reminiscing on their relationship. He kept this photo. This is the cutest photo of them, by the way. Like, I love this photo. I know it's a very popular one within the fandom. But then he decides to write her a letter, and she receives it. And so we hear some of his narration, which I loved, and he's kind of like wondering what she's up to in Paris, and he's imagining what she'd be like in France. So then we see that, and we also see a little budding relationship between her and this cutie, Benito, okay? And you guys, I just have to say something about this really quick because this is all I want to say about their relationship. So many people are like, oh my God, here Belly goes, ready to mess up another family. And then they're also saying, like, oh my God, she's not yearning for Conrad. This is horrible. Like, she's totally over this whole situation. Like, this is bad. This is bad. I completely disagree with this take. And my main reason is because as a 25-year-old woman, I feel like I'm qualified to say that I think your 20s is the time for exploration. Not that I follow that own rule book, but Belly is college age. Like, I remember my college days, and having fun, like, should be one of your number one priorities. Like, sorry. And I also think it's really healthy for Belly to put herself out there and date other people besides these two brothers. And at this point, obviously, they haven't kissed yet or anything, but like, I just need people to understand that what is she supposed to do? Like, crawl into a hole and be a hermit? Also, we'll see this later, but Belly makes it clear to him that that's the relationship is a fling. It's like a casual dating. This is what people do, you guys. You casually date. Have any of you ever watched the show Sex and the City? Okay, that is what these girls did. They casually date, and if it doesn't work out, they move to the next guy. So we need to stop hating on my girl Belly, okay? Because she is trying to find herself, and that is exactly what is happening. And she is allowed to have a relationship outside of these boys. And she doesn't owe Conrad anything. Again, I'm Team Conrad. She does not owe him anything. And he is being patient and respectful. And he knows that in some ways he did hurt her. So then at Christmas, Conrad and Steven kind of make up. Steven also quits his job because Adam finds out about his business. And when Conrad was trying to get decorations and some stuff from upstairs, he went into Belly's room and he notices Junior Mint, which we know has the infinity necklace in it. Jeremiah is at Christmas, but he doesn't want to go inside. And you know what? I got to give him props. He did apologize to Laurel here. Thank God. But he just said he's not ready to go inside. So Laurel takes the nice food he made, goes inside. Conrad obviously looks really disappointed. And then Jeremiah's moping on the couch, and we find out that he's been staying at Denise's for a couple of months now. And Denise and him kind of have this like cute little thing. Like, I'm kind of rooting for this situation. And she really like gives it to him in a nice way, but gives it to him straight, basically saying you need to move on, you need to buck up, you need to forgive, you don't need to forget, but you need to move on. And she forces him to go with her to her family thing. Then Taylor comes to visit. This was the cutest part of the episode to me. I love them together. I love Taylor's outfit. It was just the cutest little montage ever. Then, as the girls are getting ready for the New Year's Eve party, we find out that Taylor and Steven are now officially going to be living together in an apartment, and they're decorating and all this stuff. And then Jeremiah calls. And basically, they just make peace. What kind of bothered me again about this conversation is, again, Jeremiah's lack of accountability. I have so many videos on that on my page if you want to go watch them. But he was nice and cordial, and he told her, like, I'm good. And she apologized again, and they left it on good terms. Then, as the party is in swing, Benito comes in holding a package for Belly. He says she looks beautiful. I love the little flirting. And the package is from Conrad, and it has Junior Mint in it with the infinity necklace. Taylor basically confronts Belly and is like, are you like into this? What's going on? And Belly's like, I don't know. It's not like that big of a deal. I haven't even wrote him back. But Taylor really encourages Belly to go after Benito because, maybe a rebound there. But Belly reveals that she's afraid of hurting someone again. And this is why I cannot stand all the discourse on the internet. Like, she is just a girl. And in my opinion, as I've stated in every other video on The Summer I Turned Pretty, I don't think that any of the events that happened were just Belly's fault. So Belly says F it and basically starts a little relationship with Benito. Then we find out that Belly's friend actually is offering to give her apartment because she's moving in with her girlfriend, and Belly decides to stay and not come home for graduation and such. I am running out of time, so I'm going to put my thoughts on the screen for every scene from now on, but we got to see Susanna, loved this flashback. This whole scene with the boys was amazing, brilliant, show-stopping. I felt like both of their acting was phenomenal. Read my full thoughts on the screen, but I'm so happy these two kind of made up. Again, more thoughts on the screen, but Belly decides to write Conrad back. And then Conrad keeps her little postcard in his wallet. So cute. And he will be in the Paris area. So what does he decide to do? He goes to get our girl. Woo! But that was it. That was the episode. I want to hear from you guys. So you leave your thoughts in the comments, even if you're the only one. I love discussing with you guys. But yeah, I will be doing one last recap video and a season review once this is all done, so keep your eye out for that. Thanks for watching, guys. I can't believe this show is over.